Hey sir, Cadet Koning here. I'm going to talk about The Subjection of Women by John Stuart Mill. Our group picked this, well, I had a lot to do with the choice of the essay, I feel. I picked it first of all because we had a female in the group, which can be kind of a rarity around West Point sometimes. And I thought that could be a really useful perspective when it came to the analysis of the essay. But it also means a lot to me personally. I grew up with a very prominent female role model in my life at all times. My dad being an enlisted man in the Air Force, he was away a lot, either deployed or working pretty much really odd hours every day. So when I was young, my grandmother was very, very important to my upbringing, and then later my stepmother stepped into that role. And I got to see just how capable women are at doing a multitude of different things, not just keeping a household running, but also being a good part of society and working in for the money of the house as well. So I kind of thought about that idea of being capable for a long time because it seemed to me that it was very natural for women to be functioning parts of society, and I think today we kind of take for granted what the women went through a long time ago. John Stuart Mill, being from Victorian England, has a different viewpoint, obviously, where women were simply the household keepers. They were supposed to stay in the household, take care of those household problems that arose, and raise the children, etc. But I'm constantly reminded of people in my life, like my best friend when I was younger and growing up. Her name was Ashley, and as she got older, she went to ROTC for the Air Force at a college in Illinois. It's not that important, I guess. But one of the classes she took that was Army physical fitness, and this whole idea of capability kind of came into question when she took the test, the same test we do on the male scale, and maxed the PT test every time she took it. So it's just kind of odd to me that we have this idea that women are physically or incapable of being our equals sometimes. At the same time, there's this idea that they're mentally incapable as well. During Victorian England, it's kind of understandable because they were undereducated, but now when women are offered the same opportunities that we are, where they're by far our equals, or I mean, at sometimes they're our superiors when it comes to intelligence. And so it boggles my mind to think that women wouldn't be considered equal at any time, given the fact that they are completely capable of doing everything that we're capable of doing as well. Kind of a personal situation that exists is this idea of women in combat arms, and some of that is from their capacity to do the work that is involved, and I understand that sometimes that would be difficult, but at the same time it's difficult for some of us. I had issues, and I saw people constantly in my brigade as a whole failing to meet the standards, and they were male. I mean, it's not just a male-female thing, it's just a personal experience that each of us have to go through. At the same time, there's that idea that John Stuart Mill introduced in the essay about chivalry, and the idea that our mothers, our sisters, and our daughters would be out there on the front lines catching bullets just like the rest of us. It strikes somewhere in the heart of society, and that's one of the main reasons I see people hesitating to let women do men's work, essentially. So there's this whole idea of women still being the inferior species. While I see where it's coming from, I don't know how well I can agree with it. It stems a lot from these gender roles that are created. Men are created by men to be men. It's this system of masculinity that we deal with on a daily basis, where we have to come to the standard of being hard and being warriors, etc. And a lot to do with our pride. Whereas women are kind of born into this idea of femininity, and they don't have to do anything to make themselves a woman. They're just there, and it's just this inherent skill that they have. And whether or not that's a good thing, I have no idea, but it seems to have been harmful to women in the past, and it continues to be harmful to them today. So John Stuart Mill, he introduced this idea that there was half of the workforce, half of the potential mental faculties being wasted during the time. This is back in the 18th century, and so it kind of makes me wonder if they're going through all of these revolutions at the time, the technological revolutions, the industrial revolution, the agricultural revolutions, all of these times of mass growth when it comes to technology and the standard of living, and it was all by men. Where would we be today if women were allowed to do the same thing? Because there's women throughout history that have made great strides in all kinds of fields. I mean, Madame Curie in the field of science, we had Indira Gandhi, and then today we have, Condoleezza Rice, Hillary Clinton, all these people that are making great strides in the political realm. Obviously, they don't have to have the physical stamina to stay up with everything sometimes. They just have to have the mental faculties. And if we allowed them to do what they wanted to do as individuals at the times that there was supposed to be these massive amounts of growth in the past, I mean, even earlier than that sometimes, what would be able to accomplish as a society today? So it's that whole idea of efficiency, and I really think that men dropped the ball here. And it all stemmed from pride and masculinity. So as a gender, we kind of failed society as a whole. But it's not just our fault. Women, I feel, as humans primarily, are completely happy with being complacent sometimes, because when there are hard times, it's just human nature sometimes to sit back and be complacent and accept the easier role rather than stand up and do what's right or what might be the more difficult course of action. And we've kind of given them that out for a very long time, and I have no disrespect for them for taking that out. I mean, a lot of people would, but at the same time, there are those women that would have happily stood up and taken a stand for whatever cause they thought was important, and we kind of didn't afford them that opportunity. And that's kind of where the fault lies, both in the male part of it by not giving them that opportunity, and also the female part by not standing up and trying to take that opportunity for themselves. So I think my main takeaway from this essay was just that men are too proud. Women should have taken a stand, and today we could be in flying cars. So that's pretty much my 2 cents on the whole subjection of women. I don't know how this is going to sound or look. It's the first time I've ever recorded myself, and I'm kind of scared to listen to what I sound like. But I hope you enjoyed some of the points that I had to make, and I'd be more than happy to discuss them with you further if you would like. Thanks, sir. Out.